Growing older is a privilege that brings with it stories of perseverance, wisdom, and countless cherished memories. You've likely witnessed the world transform over the decades, adapted to change again and again, and found new ways to thrive in circumstances your younger self might never have imagined. Yet, just as our experiences enrich us, they also shape the habits we settle into. Some of these habits serve us well, keeping us healthy and connected. Others quietly undermine our well-being without our noticing. Perhaps you're watching this because you feel that familiar ache in your knees when you get up in the morning, or you're noticing that staying active isn't quite as easy as it once was. Maybe you have questions about whether you're really taking the best care of yourself now that you're over 70. If that resonates with you, this is a gentle but urgent call to reevaluate your routines. In my years of working with older adults in clinical settings, community centers, and personal consultations, I've seen how small changes can have transformative results. I've also seen how certain long-held habits, when left unexamined, can slowly erode a person's independence and vitality. The key isn't to feel ashamed or panicked about these habits. It's to recognize them, reflect on them, and decide to replace them with more nurturing approaches. You've gone through so much to reach this phase of life. These final decades can be some of the richest if you mindfully adapt. Stop ignoring your mental health. One of the first tendencies many seniors slip into is dismissing their mental health concerns as a normal part of aging. However, ignoring mental health can rob you of emotional well-being and even have real physical consequences. You might have grown up in an era when men and women were often told to keep their emotional struggles private, so it can feel unnatural to discuss sadness, anxiety, or ongoing worries. But mental health is every bit as crucial in your 70s and beyond as it was when you were in your 20s or 30s. Depression, for instance, can mask itself in low energy, changes in appetite, or even increased aches and pains that you might attribute to just getting older. I recall a patient I'll call Miriam, who lost interest in her favorite book club and church gatherings. When she finally opened up about it, we discovered that she had untreated depression. With counseling and, for a time, a mild medication, she found a renewed sense of purpose. Letting ongoing sadness or anxiety slip under the radar doesn't just make your days harder. It can also weaken your immune system and raise your risk for other chronic conditions. So, if you're above 70, stop pushing away mental health matters. Talk to your doctor, seek a counselor, or join a support group. These steps can lift an invisible weight you might not even realize you're carrying. Stop skipping regular medical checkups. Another habit to let go of is the reluctance to schedule regular medical checkups. Many older adults remember a time when you only see the doctor if something's really wrong, a mindset that might have come from less comprehensive healthcare systems or financial considerations in your earlier years. Today, we know that preventive care can drastically increase not only how long you live, but also how well you live. My patient Alan, at 76, was used to waiting until a problem grew unbearable before seeing anyone. One year, he skipped his annual checkup, feeling that everything was fine, only to discover later he had high blood pressure that had gone unnoticed. This led to a minor stroke. He recovered, thankfully, but had he maintained yearly visits, his elevated blood pressure might have been addressed sooner, preventing that entire ordeal. If you're above 70, don't wait until you're experiencing a crisis. Keep those regular appointments for blood pressure checks, blood tests, and screenings. By doing so, you reinforce control over your health rather than handing it over to chance. It's far easier to correct a small imbalance discovered early than to wait for it to become a major issue. Stop living a sedentary lifestyle. Just as important is to stop living a sedentary lifestyle or reducing mobility to the barest minimum. It's certainly true that your body changes and might not be as nimble as it was in your 50s, but movement, even gentle movement, is essential for maintaining muscle mass, joint flexibility, and cardiovascular health. Our bodies thrive on motion. The moment we stop using our muscles regularly, we start losing them at an accelerated rate. There is a misconception that rest is the best remedy for aging aches, but inactivity often exacerbates stiffness and leads to faster muscle deterioration. Think of it this way. If you keep a car parked for months, the battery dies, the tires deflate, and the engine might seize up. Your body is quite similar. It's designed for consistent maintenance drives. For instance, Henry, who used to be a school bus driver, began to skip his daily walks once he retired, preferring to watch TV in his favorite recliner. Within a year, he found that climbing stairs became a struggle, and he was easily exhausted. After some coaching, Henry began walking with a neighbor 3 times a week and adding simple chair exercises. His stamina improved so much that he started playing with his grandkids in the yard again. Even if you have mobility challenges, gentle stretching, water aerobics, or seated exercises can do wonders. Consult your doctor or a physical therapist to find a regimen that fits your capabilities but keeps your muscles and joints engaged. Stop eating as though your nutritional needs haven't changed. Another habit that can stealthily undermine your health is continuing to eat as though your nutritional needs are the same as they were decades ago. After 70, your metabolism often slows, and certain vitamins and minerals become more crucial than before. Overindulgence in processed sugars, salty snacks, and low-fiber meals can accelerate heart problems, digestive issues, and metabolic disorders. The myth that older adults need fewer nutrients is misleading. It's often the total caloric intake that might decrease, but nutrient density actually becomes more important. My friend Irene, who had turned 73, developed constant fatigue and mild anemia. She'd always relied on quick processed lunches, not realizing that her iron stores and certain B vitamins needed closer attention. Once she added more greens, lean proteins, and fiber-rich foods, her energy rebounded. Proper nutrition can help maintain a stable mood, support bone density, and keep your immune system strong. So, if you're still snacking on chips and calling it dinner, this is the time to stop. Consult a nutritionist, or at least do some reading on how your dietary needs change post-70. Even small tweaks, like choosing whole grain bread over white bread, or adding more colorful vegetables to your plate, can make a pronounced difference in how you feel day to day. Stop neglecting hydration. Closely tied to diet is the issue of dehydration, which becomes more pronounced with age. Many older adults don't feel thirst as acutely, leading them to drink less water. This habit can worsen existing health conditions, increase the risk of urinary tract infections, contribute to kidney issues, and even affect cognitive function. I recall Linda, who ended up in the emergency room with severe dizziness, only to learn she was severely dehydrated. She had simply gotten out of the habit of drinking water regularly and never felt particularly thirsty. Once hydration became a conscious habit, setting reminders and keeping a water bottle in easy reach, she noticed clearer thinking, better digestion, and fewer headaches. If you're not already sipping water steadily throughout the day, it's time to stop ignoring your hydration. It doesn't have to be plain water all the time. Herbal teas, broth-based soups, and water-rich fruits like melons can all contribute to proper fluid intake. Stop withdrawing from social connections. A pattern many seniors slip into, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of changing social circles, is withdrawing from social connections or isolating themselves. Emotional well-being and physical health are deeply intertwined, and loneliness can be surprisingly detrimental, raising stress hormones and increasing the risk of depression, heart disease, and cognitive decline. It's understandable if your friends or loved ones are scattered, or if mobility issues make it tougher to get out. However, actively isolating yourself, turning down invitations, or not seeking new ways to connect can hasten a downward spiral. My patient Richard used to say, "I'm too old to make new friends." Yet, in his late 70s, he forced himself to join a local senior art class after his wife passed away. He discovered not only a new creative outlet, but a community of friends who shared his love of painting. His mood improved, and he felt he was part of something bigger than himself. Even if you're more introverted, consider small group gatherings, phone or video calls with distant relatives, or volunteer work that aligns with your interests. Stop telling yourself it's too late to build new connections. The benefits of social engagement extend beyond simply having a good time. Social ties can literally help you live longer and healthier. Stop ignoring foot care and posture. Another subtle but harmful habit is ignoring foot care and posture. You might wonder why a focus on feet is so emphasized. But as many specialists will tell you, our feet carry the whole load of our bodies. And as we age, foot problems can lead to mobility restrictions, falls, and constant pain. Neglected posture also becomes more pronounced with age, as the spinal column compresses and the muscles that keep us upright weaken unless we consciously support them. My patient Gerald, at 72, started experiencing back issues and found himself stooping. A simple evaluation showed that his footwear was worn out, causing an uneven gait. After investing in proper footwear, practicing posture-friendly exercises, and doing regular foot soaks, he reclaimed much of his lost energy and stability. So, stop disregarding how you stand and walk. Adopt supportive footwear, consider short daily posture checks in front of a mirror, and incorporate gentle exercises that strengthen core muscles and keep your spine aligned. The short-term effort pays off by preserving your independence and comfort. Stop overlooking hearing or vision changes. Next, it's critical to stop overlooking hearing or vision changes. In your 70s and beyond, gradual hearing loss or vision difficulties might seem normal, but failing to address them can lead to accidents, misunderstandings, and social withdrawal. Imagine Linda, who once thoroughly enjoyed lively family gatherings. Over time, as her hearing declined, she found she missed key parts of conversations and felt too embarrassed to keep asking people to repeat themselves. She withdrew, thinking it was better to remain quiet than to risk awkwardness. Once she finally went for a hearing test and invested in a hearing aid, she realized how much of life she had been missing. The moment she reconnected with daily sounds and conversation, her sense of independence soared. The same goes for vision issues. Unresolved cataracts or uncorrected presbyopia might cause more frequent trips and falls. Sometimes a simple update to your eyeglasses prescription can reduce headaches and bring back the clarity you didn't realize you had lost. So, stop normalizing these gradual changes. Check in with an audiologist, get annual eye exams, and embrace assistive devices if recommended. There's no shame in adjusting to new tools that make life more vibrant and safe. Stop neglecting basic home safety adjustments. Finally, you should stop neglecting basic home safety adjustments. This might not sound as pressing as diet or mental health, but environmental hazards in your home can pose serious risks if left unaddressed. A fall can lead to hip fractures or lengthy hospital stays, events that drastically alter your quality of life in older age. Sometimes we think we know our homes so well that we could navigate them blindfolded. Yet, that familiarity can breed complacency. Worn-out rugs, poor lighting, cluttered hallways. These are prime causes of accidents. I remember John, a fiercely independent 80-year-old who had never had a serious accident in his house, until one day he slipped on a loose bathroom rug and broke his arm. He admitted that he'd been warned by his children to install grab bars and non-slip mats, but he felt that was for old people, not for him. His broken arm served as a wake-up call. He realized that simple changes could have prevented weeks of pain and rehab. Don't wait for an accident to show you where the hazards lie. Stop postponing home safety improvements. Install grab bars in bathrooms. Consider a small ramp if steps are challenging. Keep a nightlight in the hallway, and ensure any cords or cables are tucked away. These steps aren't concessions to frailty. They're tools to maintain your freedom and mobility without interruption. If you've watched this far, you might notice these 9 things to stop doing overlap with a single underlying principle. Actively protect your independence and maximize your vitality by staying open to change. Age is a wonderful teacher, but sometimes it teaches caution when we also need action. Perhaps you find that giving up an old habit like ignoring your mental health or skipping your annual physical, feels like admitting something about your age. But think of it differently. Putting aside these habits is akin to opening a doorway into a healthier, more fulfilling senior life. You might have lived through a time when older relatives simply didn't have access to the wealth of knowledge and medical advancements we do now. Today, you have the advantage of advanced screenings, better nutritional guidance, the convenience of telehealth, improved hearing aids, safer home modifications, and a broader acceptance of mental health care. The real question becomes whether you'll take advantage of these resources or cling to outdated habits that no longer serve you. Another aspect to acknowledge is how closely your sense of identity and self-worth might be tied to long-standing routines. Over decades, we build a personal narrative. I'm the type of person who doesn't need to exercise. I worked hard enough all my life. Or, I'm the type of person who can handle pain without doctors. These self-descriptions can be comforting because they anchor us in who we believe we are. Yet they can also trap us. In my practice, I've observed that seniors who successfully navigate their 70s and beyond with grace are those who show a willingness to adapt, to question old convictions, and to incorporate new knowledge. It might feel unsettling at first, but consider the alternative: declining health, isolation, and possibly avoidable emergencies. You've lived through more than enough to know that life can be unpredictable. Part of resilience is ensuring you've done what's within your control to prepare and protect yourself. Granted, each of these 9 things to stop doing might require conscious effort to change. Perhaps you've never talked to anyone about your sadness because, in your generation, that was considered a private matter. Or you haven't swapped out your diet because your comfort foods remind you of simpler times. Change can be incremental. The important part is that you start. If you have the resources, you might speak to a professional, a counselor or nutritionist or fitness trainer. If you're tight on funds, many community centers offer free or low-cost programs for seniors, and Medicare often covers certain preventive services. Sometimes just sharing your goal with a friend or neighbor can yield surprising support. For instance, if you mention you want to walk more, you may discover a friend who's been wishing for a walking companion. If you share you're feeling a bit blue, you might be directed to an online or local support group. These small steps can lead to larger transformations over time. Your environment can also be adjusted to help you break free from old habits. Let's say you decide you want to stop ignoring hydration. One tip is to place water bottles around your home, next to your favorite reading chair, near the television, and on the nightstand, so water is always within reach. If you're trying to stop isolating yourself, you might schedule a recurring phone call or a weekly coffee date with someone who can help keep you accountable. When you feel your motivation slip, remember that you're not just making changes for yourself. You're also doing it for those who love you, those who rely on you, and the future experiences you want to have. Maybe you've dreamed of seeing a great-grandchild graduate or traveling one more time to a place that once inspired you. Maintaining your mental and physical health can turn those hopes into realities. It's also worth addressing the possible skepticism you may feel, because life experience teaches caution with new advice. You might think, I've gotten by this long without changing these habits. However, living well in your 70s, 80s, and even 90s often comes down to preventative measures more than crisis management. Just because you haven't had a crisis yet doesn't mean you won't. Indeed, crises are more likely when routine care is neglected. We see it time and again. A small nuisance, like mild dehydration, a little hearing loss, an unsteady rug, morphs into a significant event if left unchecked. True strength in later years involves acknowledging your body's evolving needs and responding with compassion rather than denial. There is also the dimension of generational differences in how health was addressed. If you grew up in the mid-20th century, medical advice might have been less nuanced, focusing on acute illnesses rather than preventive strategies. But the science of aging has advanced tremendously. We've learned that the body's systems are deeply interconnected. Mental health affects physical health, foot care affects posture and balance, hearing and vision affect social engagement, and diet affects every cell in your body. Embracing a holistic view, where you attend to mind, body, and social connections, can lead to a far richer life at 70, 80, or beyond. It's also essential to emphasize self-compassion as you make these changes. Sometimes older adults feel shame for not having made healthier choices sooner. That shame can become a roadblock that prevents taking action. But growth is always possible. The point of acknowledging these 9 habits isn't to guilt-trip you. It's to highlight pathways where you can invest in a better quality of life right now. It's not too late. A friend of mine, Carla, decided at age 77 to join a Tai Chi class for the first time. She confessed she felt self-conscious among classmates who had been doing Tai Chi for years. Yet her instructor gently assured her that progress is measured against your own starting point, not anyone else's. Within a few months, Carla's balance improved, and she felt more confident moving around her home. The shift in her outlook was remarkable. She no longer dwelled on what she should have done in her 60s, but took pride in what she was doing in her late 70s. Similarly, reevaluating your home to remove hazards doesn't imply frailty. It shows wisdom. Installing grab bars and better lighting isn't an admission of helplessness. It's a proactive step. The real sign of strength is taking initiative to reduce risks. If you think about the people you've admired in your life, mentors, parents, grandparents, or friends who aged gracefully, you might recall that many of them demonstrated resilience and adaptability. In a sense, you can follow that legacy by continuing to adapt to your body's signals. If poor posture or foot pain is limiting your ability to walk comfortably, ignoring it won't restore your mobility. Addressing it might. If your spirit feels weighed down by sadness or lingering regrets, forcing a smile and hiding it away won't alleviate the emotional burden. Seeking help could bring genuine relief and renewed joy. That brings us to the notion of accountability. Once you're aware of these 9 behaviors to stop, it's helpful to set up a plan. Jot down on a piece of paper or in a journal. 1. Make a doctor's appointment if I haven't seen one in over a year. 2. Commit to at least 10 minutes of movement or gentle exercise per day. 3. Replace sugary processed snacks with more balanced, nutrient-rich options. 4. Keep a glass of water at my side. 5. Check in with a friend or relative weekly for emotional connection. 6. Inspect my shoes and posture, maybe buy new supportive footwear. 7. Listen for changes in hearing, see an audiologist if needed, and schedule an eye exam if it's been more than a year. 8. Inspect my home for loose rugs, poor lighting, or clutter that could cause falls. 9. If I feel persistently lonely, anxious, or sad, talk to a professional and break that silence. Tailoring these tasks to your unique situation makes the process more concrete, and crossing them off one by one can boost your sense of accomplishment. Of course, adopting new habits or discarding old ones can be daunting. You might try to tackle everything at once and end up overwhelmed. Instead, start with the 1 or 2 changes that feel most pressing or accessible. Maybe you realize that you rarely drink water, so you focus first on hydration. You could pick up a half-gallon water bottle from the store and see if you can empty it by the end of the day. Or maybe your biggest barrier is social isolation, in which case you reach out to one old friend or sign up for one community event this week. Gradual progress is still progress. If you slip up or forget, gently remind yourself of your overall aim, living a healthier, more engaged life in your 70s. Then pick up where you left off. As you begin to address these areas, it can be helpful to celebrate small victories. Did you notice you slept better after your first day of being more hydrated? Did your morning walk feel a bit easier on your feet after wearing better shoes? Did talking to a professional about your sadness leave you feeling lighter, even a little bit? Recognize these positive shifts, because they become the motivation to keep going. It's akin to fueling a fire. A spark of improvement, no matter how small, can inspire you to add more wood to that fire, building momentum toward an overall healthier lifestyle. Additionally, consider who else might be affected by your decision to improve your habits. Grandchildren, children, friends, and neighbors often look up to you, sometimes even adopting your example without your realizing it. If they see you taking charge of your health, Making sure you exercise, staying socially active, speaking openly about emotional challenges. They might learn to do the same. You become a role model who shows that it's never too late to take better care of oneself. On a practical level, staying healthy means you can keep participating in family events, travel, and community gatherings. Far from being a burden, these small but significant changes can allow you to remain a supportive presence in the lives of those you love. When you consider the cost of ignoring these behaviors, potential hospital stays, medical bills, the emotional distress of dealing with an unforeseen crisis, the logic of making gradual improvements becomes even clearer. In many cases, preventive action is simpler and cheaper in the long run than emergency interventions. Drinking water regularly, maintaining a nourishing diet, using safe footwear, or installing a grab bar costs far less than the healthcare expenses from a fall or a complicated infection. It's easy to dismiss these as little things, but as you likely know from living many decades, little things can add up to very big outcomes, both positive and negative. There's a cultural shift happening right now around aging. Where once older adults were sidelined or overlooked, we're seeing more attention to active aging or successful aging. This includes the recognition that seniors can still learn new skills, form new relationships, and explore new hobbies. The biggest obstacle often isn't the actual body or mind. It's a mindset that says, "I'm too old to change." By identifying these 9 habits to discontinue, you're already opening the door to a new mindset. True aging gracefully isn't about denying you're older. It's about acknowledging the changes and working with them, not against them. It might also help to consult with professionals, whether it's a physical therapist for exercises, a dietitian for meal planning, or a social worker who can connect you to community resources. Sometimes the best way to start letting go of these negative habits is to get guidance from someone who's dedicated to supporting seniors. You might be surprised at the variety of senior-focused programs in your region, from reading clubs and walking groups to mental health workshops and subsidized physical therapy. With a quick online search or a call to a local community center, you could discover entire networks devoted to helping people over 70 maintain active, fulfilling lives. At this point, you might be thinking about how each of these stops, the 9 habits we're encouraging you to break, directly ties into better living in a future that may extend into your 80s or 90s. Thanks to medical advances, more and more people are living longer. But living longer only counts if you maintain quality of life. If you remain stuck with habits that erode your health, the extra years can feel burdensome rather than a blessing. In contrast, if you act now to stop ignoring mental health, skip fewer checkups, move more, eat more mindfully, stay hydrated, remain socially connected, maintain foot care and posture, address hearing and vision changes, and ensure your home is safe, you create a future with greater independence, fewer hospital visits, and more life-affirming experiences. Don't underestimate the ripple effect of these changes. If you've been lonely or depressed and you seek help, that emotional uplift might give you the energy to start a new exercise routine. Increased activity might lead to better blood circulation, which can enhance overall mood and protect the heart. Feeling physically better might inspire you to call old friends or travel. It's all interconnected. You'll notice that once you start addressing one habit, others become easier to manage. This synergy can rejuvenate your day-to-day experiences in ways you didn't think possible. I've seen patients in their mid-80s sign up for dance classes, pick up painting, or volunteer at shelters and libraries, all thanks to improved mental health and physical well-being. That said, it's also important to pace yourself and remain realistic. It's natural that your body won't respond the same way it did in your 40s or 50s. Be kind to yourself if progress feels slow. Don't compare your journey to someone who has different health conditions or who started taking proactive steps earlier. This is about you reclaiming or maintaining the best version of health and independence possible for your unique situation. If you ever feel discouraged, remember that small daily efforts accumulate. Consistency often trumps intensity, especially in older age. Instead of a strenuous, short-lived exercise regimen, a gentle, lifelong approach typically yields better long-term results. In addition, stay open to new technology that can assist you. There are phone apps that remind you to drink water, track your steps, or even help you practice mental exercises. If you have grandchildren or younger relatives, you can ask them to show you how to use these tools. This can become a bonding experience. Some seniors find it helpful to track their moods, hydration, or nutrition in a simple app or diary. By doing so, you become more aware of daily patterns and can catch issues early. For example, if you notice you've had 3 days of poor water intake, you can correct course before dehydration worsens. Let's not forget the power of talking to your loved ones about these changes. If you communicate, "Hey, I'm making a conscious effort to stay healthier by drinking more water and checking in with my friends," they can support you. Maybe a daughter or son might start calling you at a set time each week, or a neighbor might bring over fresh produce. Let them know what you're trying to stop doing, like skipping meals or brushing off mental health concerns, and how they can help. Sometimes just having someone encourage you to keep that appointment or remind you about your daily walk can be the difference between success and giving up. In closing, you've journeyed a long way through life, gathering stories and experiences that make you uniquely you. Now, in your 70s and beyond, it's the perfect time to refine your daily habits so they truly serve your well-being. Too often, we allow certain routines, like ignoring signs of loneliness or maintaining a diet that lacks vital nutrients, to persist simply because we're used to them. But you can stop those habits now. You can embrace more nourishing, protective, and uplifting practices that fortify your body and mind. Take heart in knowing that countless older adults have transformed their lives simply by tackling 1 or 2 of these areas at a time, gradually weaving in more changes as they gained momentum. You can do the same. By committing to let go of these 9 behaviors, you're effectively saying yes to independence, longevity, and the joy of fully participating in life's next chapters. You are above 70, a stage of life where freedom can be redefined, relationships can deepen, and passions can be rediscovered. By halting these 9 detrimental habits, you open the door for a renewed sense of purpose and physical resilience. Whether it's mental health, medical checkups, movement, nutrition, hydration, social connections, foot and posture care, sensory health, or home safety, choose to be active, not passive, in how you move forward. This proactive stance can shape your 70s, 80s, and even 90s into years of continued growth and satisfaction. Imagine celebrating yet another birthday feeling more agile, alert, and connected than you did the year before. Picture yourself exploring new hobbies, forming new bonds, and cherishing family moments without the burden of avoidable health setbacks. It's entirely within reach. All it requires is the decision to stop undermining yourself and start investing in a life that honors the wisdom, courage, and adaptability you've cultivated through decades of living. And if you ever doubt it's possible, remember the many seniors who have walked a similar path, discovering new strengths and joys each step of the way. This is your moment to join their ranks, to step fully into the vibrant possibilities that lie ahead.